All right, so when you hear those three letters today, you probably immediately think of billion-dollar budgets, massive fire-breathing dragons, and ruthless media conglomerates. But the reality of how this absolute global powerhouse actually began is hidden behind a shockingly small, almost hilarious origin story. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to trace the fascinating evolution of one of the world's most recognizable television brands.
So imagine tuning into the home of Succession or Game of Thrones, grabbing your popcorn and being greeted by an accordion. Yeah, a local Pennsylvania polka festival isn't exactly the gritty, edge-of-your-seat drama we expect from a premium network nowadays, right? It heavily contrasts with the prestige brand we all know, but believe it or not, this polka festival is exactly where they started.
When Charles Dolan launched Home Box Office back in November of 1972, it was definitely not some massive global cultural event. We're talking a hyper-local experiment. The broadcast reached an incredibly niche audience. Get this, just 375 subscribers in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I mean, just think about that scale for a second. The network that literally boasts tens of millions of viewers globally today, it started with just a few hundred households tuning in.
Let's dive into Section 1, the humble beginnings.
Okay, so for those 375 early adopters on that very first night, their programming strategy was just completely novel. Viewers got a quick introduction by executive Jerry Levin, and then boom, right into a live hockey game, the Rangers beating the Canucks. And right after that, an uncut Hollywood hit starring Paul Newman, Sometimes a Great Notion. Now, to really grasp why this was such a game changer, you've got to remember that network TV back then was just plagued by commercial interruptions. HBO swooped in with a simple yet highly effective promise: completely uninterrupted, premium entertainment piped directly into your living room. Which brings us to Section 2, pioneering cable television. Jumping from that local 1972 launch, they took a massive, frankly audacious technological leap in 1975. They actually became the very first network to continuously broadcast nationally via satellite. People at the time were legitimately terrified these huge satellites would just fall out of orbit and crash. But, it was a total genius move that paved the way for modern distribution. And by 1981, they capitalized on this reach, becoming a 24-hour non-stop destination. It fundamentally changed how night owls consumed media. But as you can probably guess, with that massive footprint came completely new, highly modern problems. Like in 1986, when a man named John R. McDougal, who brilliantly styled himself as Captain Midnight, literally hijacked HBO's satellite feed. See, before this incident, satellite dish owners could basically just pull the network signal out of the sky for free. So when HBO finally decided to scramble their signal and, actually charge a subscription fee, McDougal was furious. He overrode their broadcast with a typed protest message, basically high-tech piracy. This single act made cable hijacking a federal felony overnight. But honestly, it just goes to show how culturally and economically essential that signal had become by the late 80s. I mean, people were literally willing to break federal law just to keep it. And you can literally see this corporate growth visually. The 1972 design feels super cluttered, kind of like a local theater marquee, complete with a literal ticket stub next to the word box. Very mom and pop, right? Now, compare that to the 1975 redesign. It's a sleek, cinematic camera lens with the O carved right out of the B. It's minimalist, it's memorable, and it so clearly signals that major shift from a tiny local theater vibe to a premium national broadcasting authority. Now let's move into Section 3, the utility brand era. You see, before they were known for high-end prestige drama, academics actually described HBO as a utility. Basically, think of it like your water or electricity bill. You paid your monthly fee because they offered this chaotic but totally essential mix of content. You had uncut Hollywood movies, massive live boxing events, and completely uncensored stand-up comedy, which gave edgy comedians a platform they just couldn't get anywhere else on TV. They also really pushed boundaries with their gritty America Undercover documentaries, and they even started dabbling in original premiere films, like 1983's The Terry Fox Story. The point is, it wasn't about prestige yet. It was just a reliable, varied utility package designed to keep you subscribed month after month. Which perfectly sets up Section 4, becoming quality television. So, following the 1989 Time Warner merger, HBO was staring down a growing crisis. A fiercely crowded market flooded with new basic cable networks, plus the booming video rental industry. Media scholars like Katherine Johnson note that to survive, TV networks had to pivot from just being a utility to crafting a distinct identity. They really needed to establish an intense, affective brand loyalty with viewers if they wanted to stand out in that saturated landscape.
Basically, they had to mean something more than just a place to catch a boxing match on a Saturday night. To execute this new brand management strategy, they developed a highly successful playbook for creating what we now instantly recognize as prestige television. Step 1. Tackle taboo adult themes that traditional network TV was just way too terrified to touch. Step 2. Utilize high-end cinematic production values, making television that looked and felt like an expensive theatrical release. And Step 3, this is crucial, release episodes weekly. Think about the massive water cooler shows you watch today. This is exactly where that playbook was perfected. They intentionally rejected the binge model, so viewers would have to savor every nuance and generate sustained discourse all week long. And this strategic playbook birthed an entirely new era of television, fundamentally altering pop culture. In the late 1990s, Oz broke the seal as their first hour-long, intensely gritty prison drama. It was violent, it was unfair, and it was completely mesmerizing. Then came The Sopranos, which absolutely cemented the network as the undisputed leader of the prestige television era. And shortly after that, The Wire, hailed by so many as complex, literary, solid gold television. These heavy-hitting original dramas proved, once and for all, that the small screen could genuinely rival the greatest cinematic achievements. Of course, as the television landscape morphed yet again into the cutthroat streaming wars we have today, the branding had to evolve to keep pace. You've got the 2000s era, those classic letters housed in a sleek, plain black box, perfect for instant digital recognition on your screen or remote. Then you have the 2020s era, with the launch of HBO Max. Facing intense competition from streaming giants, they had to signal a massive expansion of their catalog. This move really bridges the gap between traditional prestige cable and the digital on-demand era, adding Max to denote a much wider streaming library, all without losing that core iconic typographical identity. So it leaves us with this fascinating thought to chew on about the sheer power of brand evolution. How exactly did a tiny local feed with 375 subscribers, showing a polka festival and a hockey game, manage to permanently redefine the very meaning of quality television for the entire world? It's kind of wild, right? It proves that humble origins combined with technological daring and a relentless commitment to incredible storytelling can entirely rewrite the global media landscape. So the next time you boot up a prestige drama, ask yourself, would this even exist if a local Pennsylvania feed hadn't decided to broadcast a polka festival back in 1972? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning and keep watching closely.